Hey, it's me, AP, aka Mr. Movie Cheer, and welcome back to another episode. And on this episode, I will be discussing rewatching films that you've watched many a times before versus watching new movies. Which is better? Let's get to it. So first I want to talk about rewatch value. So what do I mean by this? So got a few points here. Experiencing a movie for a second time. I can watch a movie and I've watched this many films all the times and, really changed my opinion on films by watching it a second time over or third time, so on and so forth. And I feel like you do get that sometimes with rewatch value. You get more from a film every time you watch it. You see something new, you experience something. And I do think you can get a lot from watching a movie a second time round. And that's where the rewatch value definitely comes in. And like I said, seeing something new in a movie, I always go back to the movie Logan. I didn't really enjoy that on the first watch. And on the second watch, I really did enjoy it. And over time, I've seen it a few more times since, seen it on the big screen as well, more recently in the past couple of years. And really have enjoyed that film. I thought it was a really fantastic film. And there's a lot of films like that for me where I've just experienced it a second time round. I always try and give a movie a second chance sometimes, even if I didn't enjoy the first watch, because sometimes it does take a second movie for me personally. And I'm sure there's other people out there who feel the same when it comes to films. But yeah, I think rewatch value comes into play as well with a movie you just appreciate. Maybe you've got a film that holds a lot of memories for you, a good time watching it at the cinema, and maybe there's other reasons. Maybe it's a particular director you like or a particular actor, and you have that attachment to that movie through that, and that's where the rewatch value comes in. Maybe you're a big fan of like Steven Spielberg or Christopher Nolan movies, and you like to rewatch their films because you appreciate their filmmaking style. You like seeing the stories on screen, the way they direct, and I think that's another reason where rewatch value comes into play and why people really enjoy that. And I know myself, I do that myself with films. Ones I watch over. There's movies in the collection, and I think going back, like I said, it's appreciating movies. There's certain ones like I have attachments to movies. I always find movies that I've watched at the cinema and there's been a great day attached to that, or going to that watching a particular movie. I always go back to The Dark Knight for me. Watching it with my dad, I really enjoyed that occasion, and I remember going out to the cinema. And when I go back to watching that movie, it always brings back them memories, and that's what I like. I like attaching a memory to a movie, an occasion, and I think sometimes that's where that rewatch value comes in because it brings in all other positive, happy memories as well, which I really enjoy. So I do think there's a lot of things attached to rewatch value, and I think there's so many positives to rewatching movies again. So now we're going to shift topic to experiencing new films, new movies. What is the positives about this? I think for me, the excitement of something new. I kind of liken it to travel, and I don't do that much travel if I'm being honest. Especially not nowadays at this moment in time. But I used to go like doing travels around the world and visiting different countries, and it's that new experience, and I liken movies to that, and it's just so much fun, going and watching a new movie that you've never seen. And I especially love movies where you've never seen it before, but you don't know anything about it at all. I think there was one recently last year I watched. Parasite was like that. I had no idea going into the movie what to expect whatsoever, and went in there and no expectations. Knew it was going to be well. I knew a lot of people said it was a good film. I think it won the Oscar, didn't it, for best movie as well. So my expectation in that sense was there's something there that people see of value, and I watched that and I was just amazed. And like I said, didn't know the plot going in, and I think it made it even more better, the experience. But again, experiencing something new movies, I found that more recent in recent years as well, with doing the YouTube channel and doing the podcast and stuff like that. Experiencing new films and kind of trying to watch more films. So you've got something to discuss on the channel. But experiencing new films has been something that I've really enjoyed doing. I take notes every year of the new films I watch, note them down, what my thoughts are, give them a little rating out of 3. And I really do enjoy that. I think it's a nice little hobby as well. It's really fun, and it's great as well because you can find your new favourite movies as well. I've watched a few even this year in 2026 that I've really enjoyed, and that I'm kind of like, wow, there's Where Eagles Dare. That was Richard Burton, great, and Clint Eastwood. Great movie, and I'd never watched it before until this year. Watched it earlier on this year, started I think in January, and absolutely loved it. I thought it was a great film, and that's up there as one. Like I really do find it hard to make a top 10 list of movies, but it's high up in movies that I really enjoy now. So I think that's another thing, experiencing new films, finding new favorite films, and I think as well topics of conversation. I find as well with people I work with who are not especially big on movies, like you get people in this movie. This is what I love about the movie community, that you can discuss it with like-minded people. But sometimes you're in environments where it's people who maybe are not into movies as much. But like I'm, for example, in my work life, in my job, I'll sometimes with newer films, maybe there's some out at the cinema, and I had it the other week where there was a movie out at the cinema. I think it was Cold Storage, the new movie, and someone mentioned it. It was a really good film, and it's not someone I would have spoken to about films before, but because they said, they went to cinema, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to see that tonight. And it opens up that little door, that connection of new films, and that's where I think maybe you don't get as much with new films. With older films, but with newer films where they're in the sort of like the public domain, and everyone's kind of like the fresh topics to talk about. It can bring up that conversation starter, and that's what I like as well. So with newer films, where you can start that conversation. Have you seen this film that's just come out recently? That's where that comes in as well. And I know you can do that with past films, but I think with it's always when there's a fresh film out, people are more keen, eager to discuss that. So I think that's really good, and another aspect of experiencing new films that I do enjoy. So now let's discuss decision fatigue and comfort watching. So I think decision fatigue comes in, I find for me mainly when I'm on streaming services where I'm scrolling through. I did it the other night where I was thinking, I was just like, thought, I want to watch a film. I'm going to throw a movie on. And I thought, I looked at the collection. I thought, I'm just going to see what's on stream and see if there's any new films I've not seen before. And I was just scrolling and scrolling. And it felt, before it's like 10, 20 minutes gone and you're just scrolling and looking for something and not deciding on anything. And I think in the end, I just come to the point where I was just like, I'm just going to watch something I've watched before or watch a TV show or something. So I find I do get like that decision fatigue with, I don't really get it with my physical collection, because so when I looked at the physical collection, I know what I want to watch. It's like I want to go and watch The Dirty Dozen. I want to watch Kelly's Heroes. I want to watch Batman. I know where to go, and I know where I want to go with what I want to watch. I do find it's always with streaming I get that decision fatigue, and that's looking for something. But I think also what comes into play is what I mentioned at the start, is comfort watching as well. And I think it's sometimes I get it in the evenings a lot, of that comfort watching where if I'm focusing on a new movie, I feel like I have to really focus on the plot, so, see what's going on with the story. I can't just sink back, unless it's a comedy more so. But most new films, I really want to sink, full focus towards the TV. But sometimes when I'm tired and I just want to throw something on, I do that comfort watching thing where I'm going to throw something on that I've seen a million times before, that I don't feel like it, if I look away for a couple of minutes, I'm going to lose track of the plot. I know where the plot's going. I can just sit there, chill out. And that comes into a play with me sometimes as well, and that's, it's part and part. This is, working out what I want to watch, and then that idea of just, I'm just going to put something on I've seen a million times before. It's nice and easy. I can sit back and chill. So sometimes that weighs into what I want to watch in regards to a new film or something I've watched many times before. So which is better, new films or watching movies that you've watched many a times over and over again? I think for me, look, and I hope you're the same. It's for me the best of both worlds. Bottom line, there's going to be uproar now. You've not given us a final decision. Well, that is my final decision. And now the reason being is, I do like the best of both worlds, and especially nowadays. I think years ago I would have said I prefer watching movies that I've watched time and time again. But I do now think, over the past couple of years, doing the YouTube channel and doing the podcast, I like experiencing new movies as well. So it really is a balancing act between both of them things for me, and I just enjoy both. I love the experience of watching new films and seeing things on screen I've never seen before. But then I also love, I think this is where the physical media aspect side comes into, because I will only buy movies for the physical movie collection that I'm going to watch. I'm never going to blind buy a movie. I don't tend to do it. It's always movies I've watched or I've seen on TV before I enjoyed, and then I'm going to pick it up physically. And that's where the physical aspect and rewatching movies comes in. And I find a lot of the time, new experience, new watches are either going to the cinema or streaming a movie first. And if I really enjoy it, then I bring it into the collection, and then that's where the rewatch value comes in, because I enjoy watching it over and over again. But that's why I want to bring it into the physical media collection. So I can really appreciate both of these, and yeah, like I said, I hope maybe you're different. You feel different than me to this, but I think the best of both worlds, enjoying both of these things, is good for a movie fan like me. So that's it for another episode, and I'd really love to hear your thoughts on this topic today. Rewatching movies versus watching something new. Where do you stand on this topic? Do you prefer watching new movies, finding them new experiences, getting your new favourite movies, or do you like going back to the old faithfuls, the ones you've watched a million times over, but you enjoy it, it's comforting, you just like to chill out and watch the films that you've enjoyed, and you're not too bothered about watching new things, maybe new movies, maybe you're kind of like at a point now where you feel new movies from the cinema are just not up to scratch from movies from the past, and I can understand that as well, because I know some movies that come out today are absolute garbage. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, guys, on this topic. I thought it'd be a nice little topic to go through. But yes, thank you very much for joining me, ladies and gents, for this episode. Let's do it again. Rewind. Thank you very much for joining me again, ladies and gents, for this episode. Remember to spread a bit of movie cheer, and as always, I will see you next time.